So let's get back to the news for today that the Hottel Memo has now been released in full. Here it is again. You can see much cleaner than the previous version released. That first paragraph that I already had read to you revealed the names of two key players in this saga. The first is Special Agent H Kurtzman. And he was the one that essentially got the information, fed it to the agent in charge at his field office, who then in turn sent it to J. Edgar Hoover. So now we can see who that was, who the special agent received it from. This is what I was trying to unlock. And this, to my, I would say, biggest surprise, was that it was not anybody that we recognized in like a Silas Newton or something to that effect, but rather the information came from another law enforcement agency, namely the Metropolitan Police Department, and I think that's safe to assume would be the Washington, D.C. Metro Police Department. Special Investigator Carl Howe was the one who obtained the information, and he was part of, get this, the Sex Squad. Now, why he would come up with the information depicted in the Guy Hottel memo of alien bodies and so on, and he worked in a sex squad unit, I have no idea. So where my surprise comes in, and of course this is guesswork when you deal with redactions, was that I assumed that the first part of the redaction was the FBI agent. And I actually thought that they likely wouldn't unredact that they would keep that redacted even if the guy was dead, meaning a lot of times these agencies will protect their agents. But what I was hoping for was the source, let's say it's Silas Newton, long passed away, dead, and no longer a privacy issue concern. That's what I was looking for. But to my surprise, to see another law enforcement agency, that to me was intriguing. And on top of that, this was obviously, and I want to say obviously, but it is with 99% certainty, the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. Reason is because when a Metro PD gets information, they feel that there should be federal involvement, they go to the field office locally, then locally goes to their national headquarters. And that's what you see here. You trace it back from D.C. Metro Police to Special Agent Kurtzman, back to the special agent in charge, then to the director of the FBI. So I think it's a safe assumption, but of course there's always that 1% chance that it's wrong. But regardless, here is R. H. Kurtzman, Robert H. Kurtzman to be exact. He died back in 1978. I found him listed in a document that I got from the FBI called the Dead List. And yes, that is really their name for it. It is the Dead List. This is used by the Freedom of Information Act office when people do FOIA requests or Privacy Act requests. They're looking for information. They keep a database of people that they have verified are dead. So you have to submit obituaries, death certificates, proof of death in the form of news articles, and so on and so forth. And to do that, you have to submit it to the FBI, and it has to be verifiable. Once it's verified, it goes into the list. So Robert Kurtzman, the special agent that received this information, either somebody requested his file before, and I believe that's true, but I haven't been able to verify if there is a file that's come out yet. I'm working on that. We'll see if there's anything in Kurtzman's file. It's probably nothing related to this, but you never know. So that's him, found, verified. There you go. The other aspect is the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. Now, what's interesting about this is that it didn't immediately route to a Silas Newton, as I pointed out, but rather a police department. So this morning, I immediately picked up the phone and called the police department over in D.C. and ended up having to leave a message where I ended up asking about files from 1950. Reason being is we want to see what their files, if they still exist, say. Hopefully through either a Sunshine Act or a Freedom of Information Act, or maybe through public affairs, they'll work with me because it's 70 plus years since these documents were written. Maybe they will release them. Will those files have something to do with either Silas Newton or a story dealing with Silas Newton's claims and so on and so forth? Who knows? That's still up in the air. But it to me, this kind of deepened the mystery a little bit. That doesn't mean the Hottel Memo depicts, real events and this is a smoking gun, but rather it wasn't what I expected. And that is the very, very kind of cool thing about it. Remember that arrest record that I also talked to you guys about with Silas Newton? It really didn't touch D.C. or any problems that he had in D.C. You can see here that the department that he was charged with various charges, New York City, New York, New York, New York, Los Angeles, Denver, Los Angeles, all the way from 1931 through 1967. The 1950 time frame when this intelligence was collected from the field by a sex unit special agent for whatever reason, that would lie in the timeline here. And you can see 1936 jumps to 52. No real trouble in 1950. So again, may not be directly Silas Newton. Maybe it's somebody that he knew, heard about. Who knows? A lot of possibilities there. But regardless, I would say more questions than answers on this one.